It's time for another edition of The Mailbag, where I attempt to address any questions I have received via letter or email, as well as to recognize and give a vague and anonymity respecting thank you to anything anyone may have sent me. I had meant to get a mailbag video out at the end of January, but circumstances have interfered in that, and in a way that turned out to be a good thing, as you'll see, because I now have no shortage of mail that I've received. So the only real questions I received were from two separate listeners. At least when I say real questions, I mean ones that I didn't just answer via email, ones that were submitted specifically for the mailbag. You can send me an email for the mailbag. You'll find the email address in the description box of this video. Anyway, I received two real mailbag questions from two separate listeners, who both asked about why the church limits ordination to those it traditionally does. Why is the priesthood limited in the way that it is? And what the best arguments are against those that the secularists and the modernists want us to include in ordination for this recent push to expand ordination, like we're seeing in Germany and elsewhere. I received that question from two separate people, and then lo and behold, heaven intervened for me, because I don't have to answer that question directly myself, because the auxiliary bishop from Kazakhstan did so in a much more eloquent way than I am capable of. And he is a bishop, a prince of the apostles, and as such his words carry, shall we say, a tad more weight than mine do. So if you're curious about the reasons why the church limits ordinations the way that it does, and why the church opposes expanding ordination to include the potential Father Brendas of the world, see the pinned comment for the letter from the auxiliary bishop of Kazakhstan's answer to that question. You know the bishop, he whose name I can't say here, because if I do, I get in trouble with our hosts for mysterious reasons. Anyway, see the pinned comment for that letter. I put it up in late January or early February in case you missed it due to weird shenanigans being played on my channel by our lovely and totally honest folks. So, as you can see from these pictures, I received a ton of mail in these last 2 months, and as I'm sure you know, it was the Christmas season until just a few short weeks ago, hence the Christmas cards you see. I just want to thank everyone who sent a Christmas card or a donation or some kind of gift via the mail. I try to keep people anonymous, so I generally avoid saying names publicly. But I do thank you for the support. If you do send things that way, please include an email address. I can't stress that enough. Include an email address so I can thank you and include you in my patron list for early access and patron exclusives. I'm working on a book review exclusive for my patrons, and then I'm hoping to do a review of either the new version of Wolf in Sheep's Clothing or of a couple other Catholic films. Maybe by the time you're seeing this, the book review will be available to the patrons. Only time will tell, really. But I always include an email address so I can respond and get you on that list. I do hang on to letters and cards pretty much forever. So, yeah, I still have some from last year or a year ago in my possession, and I plan to hang on to all of these in perpetuity. And I always appreciate letters that are merely kind words and encouragement, because I usually get those when I need them the most, so thank you. Now, I received a fair number of books this month, to put it mildly. First, I received a book from Father Augustine OFM called Ireland's Loyalty to the Mass. I will eventually read it. I have a lot to read that directly impacts my channel, and this will definitely help my work. I do recommend that if you want to find a copy, you'll have to look online. There's not an ISBN for this, so you'll just need to try to find one online. And all that reminds me, a different listener from Ireland requested prayers for their country for some pretty obvious reasons as of late, so please pray for the faith in Ireland. Perhaps organizing a novena of novenas for Ireland is in order, but please remember that country in your prayers. They need it, given things that have transpired there recently. St. Patrick is an obvious intercessor, as well as probably maybe a novena to Our Lady of Knock. Now, the other book I received in the mail from a priest is called Real Philosophy for Real People, Tools for Truthful Living by Father Robert McTeague, S.J. Yes, a Jesuit priest sent me a book. Now, I know what you're thinking, but here's the thing. Father McTeague hosts a nationally syndicated Catholic radio show, and he had me on to discuss Our Lady of Good Success. A link to that show is in the pinned comment as well, and I highly recommend that you check that out. Father McTeague is a Jesuit in the sense that he is an actual son of St. Ignatius. He is not like Pastor Jimmy Martin of the Jesuit Church, but a faithful Jesuit. and a faithful son of the church, and I definitely enjoyed being on with him, so check out that episode, and I may be on with him again in the future. The episode is about an hour in length. We had our talk on the Feast of Our Lady of Good Success, so there's some good information there. Speaking of appearances on other platforms, I will be taking part in Trad Cat Knight's Fatima conference in May. It's a virtual conference on his website. No, it is not free, so if you want to watch the podcast or broadcast of that, you can get more information in the pinned comment. I'll be appearing alongside Eric, Trad Patrick of Rights and Duties, Kennedy Hall from the Fatima Center, Mike from Restoring the Faith, and the always insightful and passionate Father Kramer, whom Trad Patrick and I spoke with about a month ago or so over on Rights and Duties channel. That was an interesting conversation, to say the least. And this will be an interesting discussion, and I may end up being the moderate in the room, given who I'll be appearing with, which is great, so check out the link in the pinned comment. You'll get access to Trad Cat Knight's previous conferences as well, and it will be 100% unfiltered. Now, one listener sent me this swanky Vegano t-shirt. Now, if you're not familiar with the word swanky, it means possessing of much swank, which means stylishly luxurious and expensive. Vegano is depicted as Pope on this t-shirt, which will make some of you quite happy. I don't know where he got it from, but I'm sure it can be found online unless it was made by a commission. Now, I need to lose a bunch of weight before it'll fit me, but I've gone back to my ketogenic ways since the 26th of December, and I have lost 30 pounds as of the recording of this video. So I am well on my way to being able to fit into that. Now, I do have a lot more weight to lose, though, more than I care to admit. And once I get my weight to a place where I'm happy with it, I will probably work on fixing some of the conditions in my home office so that I can appear on camera on the live streams that I hope to bring back to my channel. So, pray for my success on this diet, please. Not just for those kind of superficial reasons, but also for the health reasons, because I do have a child and, I'd like to be there for his ordination or marriage later in life. Now, finally, a listener sent me this impressive stack of contemporary Catholic books. Authors include Matthew Kelly, Thomas Merton, John Paul II, among others. There's a charismatic bent to much of this, and I'm not sure if it was a subtle attempt to get me to change my mind on the charismatic renewal or what, but I do appreciate the gesture. I will add them to my library once I finish reorganizing my home office to accommodate the new books. I count about 20 books in that pile, maybe more, so it is definitely not an insignificant number of works that I was sent from this listener. Thank you for the books. It is appreciated. Now, also, take a look at this, so to speak. An issue of Look magazine from 1967 that illustrates just how far gone things already were in those days. There's an article preemptively rejecting Paul VI Humanae Vitae, which should be shocking, but really isn't from our perspective, but should have been to the senses of the faithful in those days. Look magazine had been, as far as I know, at one point, one of those periodicals that always was good to support the faith and present the faith in a way that wasn't worrisome. But the spirit of the age really came to its own in the 60s and after, so none of this should be surprising at all. And this magazine is an interesting artifact from that time that I'll definitely try to preserve as best I can. And yes, I will definitely go through it, and if there's anything that will aid me in my work for this channel, I will absolutely use that as a resource. Now finally, I wanted to thank my channel sponsor, Glory and Shine. I don't take channel sponsorships lightly and have publicly said I would only do so if the company was either Catholic or provided a needed service to Catholics in these times. Glory and Shine are a good Catholic company. They are a small operation that makes soaps and lotions and beard balms and the like. My wife likes their oatmeal bar soap, and I like their lotion, which has helped me with some skin issues I've always had. And that's great. They infuse Lourdes water into their products. They're worth checking out if you like those kinds of products, and seriously, who doesn't need a good beard balm, right? Anyway, I did want to thank them for their support of this channel, and for those of you who have checked them out, I hope you like what you've seen, and you can find a link to their website in the description box of my video or in the pinned comment as well. That's about it for this episode of the Mailbag. Again, if you send me things, please include an email address. It's not feasible for me to personally respond to each piece of mail I receive, at least in the form of snail mail. I can send emails, though, so please include an address. I do not sell my email list or give it away to anybody. It's not even kept online in a way that could be accessible by someone else. Also, again, check out that conference I'll be doing with Trad Cat Knight, which will be happening right around the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima, and will be completely and 100% unfiltered. No code, no odd turns of phrase that I hope you understand or anything that I have to then explain later. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks to those who have supported this channel. I do appreciate it, and I do have some good things in the works. As always, please pray for the church. Thanks for listening. Ave Maria.